Hello everybody, Eric again. Like and subscribe. Here we go. Let's read about Mammut borsoni. Mammut borsoni, sometimes called Borsoni's mastodon, is an extinct species of mammutide, proboscidean, known from the late Miocene to the beginning of the early Pleistocene of Eurasia, spanning from western Europe to Anatolia and possibly China. As a member of Mammutidae, it is related to the American mastodon, Mammut americanum, though its placement in the genus Mammut is disputed. It is the last known mammutide in Eurasia and is considerably larger than the American mastodon, with the shoulder height and body mass of males suggested to exceed 4 meters, 13 feet, and 16 tons, 35,000 lb, respectively, making it amongst the largest of all proboscideans and largest known land mammals. Its tusks, which could reach over 5 meters, 16 feet in length, are the youngest known of any animal. Taxonomy and evolution. Mammut borsoni. Mammut borsoni was first described by American naturalist Isaac Hayes in 1834 as Mastodon borsoni, for a tooth discovered near Villanova d'Asti in Piedmont, Italy. It was named after Professor Stefano Borsoni, who had originally attributed the tooth to the species Mastodon giganteum. Since its description, it has been attributed to both the genera Golophodon and Mammut. The attribution of M. borsoni to Mammut has been considered questionable, as the type species of Mammut. For Mammut, the American mastodon, Mammut americanum, is known from North America, and there is no clear evidence that there was a migration of Mammut from Eurasia to North America, a hypothesis historically favored by some authors, such as Gunther Strelsinger and Heinz Tobian, and still favored by some modern authors, or vice versa, after the initial dispersal of Golophodon from Eurasia to North America, circa 16 million years ago, with the generally accepted, though not universally so, view being that the similarities between North American mammoth and M. borsoni are due to separate parallel evolution from Golophodon in Eurasia and North America, and that the lineages that gave rise to M. borsoni and the American mastodons have been separate since the early Miocene, which would render Mammut pilophyletic if it included M. borsoni. Due to uncertainty about where the species should be placed, the species continues to be provisionally named Mammut borsoni. It has been suggested that M. borsoni derives from the lineage of Golophodon turacensis. Some authors choose to segregate some late Miocene fossils into the species Mammut iblocrolophus, which has molars essentially identical to the Paleocene Mammut borsoni. However, the mandibular symphysis, the fused frontmost part of the lower jaw, is somewhat more elongated with larger lower tusks, and the upper tusks are probably shorter. Description. Like many other proboscideans, including living elephants, the species is suggested to have been sexually dimorphic, with considerably larger males than females. Mammut borsoni is the largest known mammutid, considerably exceeding the American mastodon in size. A 2015 study estimated that some not fully grown, likely male individuals, known from partial skeletons found in the vicinity of the village of Milia in northern Greece, Milia I and Milia V weighed about 15 tons, 31,000 lb, with a shoulder height of 3.9 meters, 12.8 feet, with one specimen from the same locality known from an isolated femur, Milia II, estimated to weigh 16 tons, 35,000 lb, with a shoulder height of 4.1 meters, 13.5 feet. The latter is also estimated to have been the average size of males of the species. Both of these weight estimates are significantly larger than those of any known modern elephant, placing it among the largest land mammals that have ever lived. Revealing Parasaurolotherium transformilisticum in size, a fully grown specimen suggested to be female due to his size, known from a partial skeleton excavated from a sinkhole near the village of Counsolium in Thuringia, central Germany in 1958, had a shoulder height of 3.2 meters, 10.5 feet, an estimated body mass of 7.8 tons, 17,000 lb. The upper tusks lack animal bands, which are present in the tusks of Galophodon. Torosenses are straight to slightly upwardly curved, and the youngest known amongst Proboscideans, with one preserved tusk from probably male specimen from Malayas, measuring 5.2 meters, 16.5 feet in length, with an estimated mass in life of around 137 kilograms, 302 lb. Females are suggested to have probably had smaller tusks than males, similar to modern elephants. In comparison to early mammutids like Galophodon, the lower jaw, particularly the frontmost part, the mandibular symphysis, is relatively short, but at least in some individuals still bears some lower tusks around 5 centimeters, 2.0 inches in diameter, and 15 centimeters, 5.9 inches in length. In the Caltosodium specimen, though some M. borsoni individuals appear to have had tuskless lower jaws, the jaws appear to have lack permanent premolar teeth, which are present in more primitive mammutids. The anatomy of the ulna, radius, femur, and foot bones of Mammut borsoni are more morphologically similar to those of the American mastodon, Mammut americanum, than to Galophodon turacensis, though the converse is true for the humerus and tibia, with the morphology of the limb bones being more gracile than less reversed than those of the American mastodon. The humerus has a distinctly convex outline in medical view, when viewed from the inner side respective to life position, with the shaft being triangular shaped in cross-section. The olecranon process of the ulna, where it articulates with the elbow, is very reversed and projects out to the side. Literally, the antecondylar fossa of the femur is narrower in M. borsoni than in the American mastodon, more similar to Z. turacensis. The condylis medalis of the tibia, where it connects to the knee joint with the femur, is large. The fibula shaft is relatively thin. A brain case of the species known from Moldova, which shows that the shape of the endocase cast the internal hollow space occupied by the brain differs somewhat from its counterpart in the American mastodon, with the location of the temporal lobe being permanently developed, and the location of the front tips of the olfactory bulbs being clearly visible, while the tips of the olfactory bulbs are less prominent, and often not visible in American mastodon endocastes, like other mammutids. The insulation quotient is lower than for modern elephants, indicating a proportionally smaller brain relative to body mass, with the brain of the Moldovan specimen estimated to have weighted approximately 4.7 kilograms, 10 lb. Tusks of M. borsoni from Malia, Greece, which are the youngest tusks ever found. Molar tooth. tusk lower jaw of the Coltosuiam specimen of M. borsoni is an archive historical photo with well tusks left, and a modern photo of the partially restored jaw with replica of lower tusks right. Lithograph of a partial lower jaw of Mammut borsoni alongside other miscellaneous mammal remains. Ecology, dental microware and mesoware analysis of specimens from the Pliocene of Romania and England, respectively, as well as isotopic analysis of specimens from Malia suggests that M. borsoni was primarily a browser on leaves and twigs of wooded plants. In Pliocene Europe, it coexisted with other Proboscidean species, including the mammoth, Mammuthus rumenis, and the tetralophodont, Gomphothere, and Orcas, and Vernicis, which also had the browsing-based diets. Other animals that lived alongside Mammut borsoni in the late Pliocene of Europe include the tapir, Tapirus vernicis, the monkey, Mysopithecus, Menspicilanus, the bovine, Loptobus, Stenomatopin, the pig, Sos minor, the deer, Pursue, Dudama, Lyra, the rhinoceros, Stephanorhynchus, Alentus, the saber-toothed cat, Homothurium, Cronatidans, the hyenas, Phylocrocota, Cuta, Perui, and Chasmophorthustes, Lenesis, and the giant cheetah, Arsenrox, Perdinesis. Distribution and chronology. Mammut borsoni is known from localities across Europe, spanning from the Iberian Peninsula in the west to Greece and Ukraine in the east. Remains have also been reported from Anatolia, Asian Turkey, and Shaanxi in northern China, though it has been argued by some authors that the Chinese remains should be assigned to the separate species M. shenshisians, the oldest specimens of the Mammut borsoni lineage since to latter date to the late Miocene, around 9 to 7 million years ago, while the youngest date to the earliest Pleistocene, around 2 to 2.5 million years ago. Mammo Nilogene, Zone 17. Bye for now.